my motors were hot, like 100% my motors were hot. But yours...
Yeah, we even touched motors, didn't we?
Yeah, like yours were...
Oh, God. That sounded really bad.
It sounded really bad. But yeah, like your motors... Intro?
Yeah. How you doing, guys? Welcome back to another video, shall we say. We've done a little bit of a different format this time. We've sort of gone for like more of a podcast style video. It's going to be comparing the GTR range from Evolve to the Onsra Black Carve from Onsra. So yeah, like I said, different type of format today, but we've both got our own opinions on these boards, and we thought this would be the best and clearest way to get all the information out to you guys, so that when you watch this video, you'll have a good understanding of actually how these two boards perform and which one you should essentially go for.
You pretty much nailed the intro. Don't really have much to add. I'm just going to add that it's the belt version of Ondra's board.
Yeah, belt version, not the direct drive version. So
yeah. So as always, guys, we're going to be breaking down the video into categories. I know you guys love categories when we do these types of videos. And they're going to be essentially structured in terms of what we feel are the most important things when we're looking at an electric skateboard. Number one being the speed. So that's going to be the first one. So in terms of speed, Rick, what are you looking at with the Onsra, with the different setups that you
So definitely, like when it comes to like speed with the Onsra, it is a faster board, but that is going to be down to the way that the board's geared, the motor KV or rating, shall we say. And regardless of what skateboard, some of them are quite similar, but then you'll get the odd one that comes out every now and again with a different KV rating. It's got a more powerful battery in it. So there's going to be, all of those elements are going to be in its favour to be a more top-end heavy board. It's going to be fast top end. Yeah. And obviously that depends on the wheel setups that you use and all the rest of it. But straight out of the box, which is what, by the way, this is going to be a comparison against the Onsra and the GTR range on exactly what they would ship with. So this is not us getting the board and then putting different wheels on it to make it faster. This is how you would buy the board shipped from the company and how it actually performs and compares to each other. But yeah, the board shipped straight out obviously comes with those 115mm wheels.
Yeah, the sticky ones.
Yeah, so that set up with the 45 teeth pulley that they ship with, you're looking at around just over 30 miles an hour, 32 miles an hour with it. So it's a fast board top end.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, experience-wise of you riding it, obviously had the same experience, top end.
Yeah, I think for a short amount of time, we managed to get quite high, like close to, was it like the 33, 34 mile an hour mark? But
yes.
Only for a really short window of time, and then you're averaging it sort of like the 30 mile an hour mark.
Yeah, you're still getting good speed, and regardless of what you say or what you do, stock out of the factory from both of these manufacturers, the Onsra is going to be the fastest board top end.
Yeah, I think the quickest we've ever had the GTR go is probably around the 30 mark, again for like a very tiny window of time, and that was with the 107mm wheels, but those are an additional
purchase that you have here. This is stock straight out.
Yeah, so if you went 97, you're not going to get anywhere near 30, and if you went for the 150mm all-terrain wheels or the 175 ones, you're still not going to get anywhere near that.
And anywhere near that speed. Yeah. So it's a faster board top end.
Yeah, so Onsra wins the category of speed.
Of speed, yeah, fastest board.
Yeah, that's fair. I think from there, naturally...
What would be... obviously, speed of the GTR, 97 mils. What are they going to be?
I think it was around the 26 mile an hour mark.
I think it is 97mm wheels on that board with the 32 tooth gear that it ships with standardly. Yeah, you're looking 24 to 26 miles an hour.
Yeah. So yeah, as you go up in diameter of the wheel, if you go to all terrain, then the top end drops significantly.
Yeah.
But yeah, top end, I think the quickest you get in the GTR with the street 97mm is 26. Yeah. For sure. I think from there it makes sense to drift off into acceleration, because that's going to be the next best thing. Its top end is great, but a lot of people need that grunt, whether they live in an area that's hilly or they are a bigger rider or they just need to be able to get off of the line quick. Mm-hmm. So if we're looking at the GTR, I think straight up this is one that we can say that the GTR wins hands down. Yeah,
except the acceleration on the GTR is better or quicker, or you've got more acceleration than on the Onsra. The Onsra, you just haven't got that acceleration there.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what setup you use with the GTR, whether it's street wheels, whether it's all-terrain wheels, and if the Onsra was on the same setups as well, the GTR, either bamboo or carbon, it's quicker off the line.
It is, yeah.
There's no other way to put it.
No, it's just been set up that way. That's the way that the board's been programmed, and it's a quicker, more aggressive accelerating board, isn't it?
For sure. Yeah, so I think that sums up the beginning.
Yeah,
speed, if one to Onsra.
Yeah,
acceleration.
If you're looking for acceleration for a board, you want something that's quick off the line, then the GTR is definitely going to be that board.
Now, gone.
But then we've got to talk about, obviously, torque.
Yeah, I was going to say uphill, because it's not on my list of categories.
Yeah,
but,
we didn't have it on there. But,
yeah, but uphill.
Torque, obviously, the Onsra, even though it hasn't got that acceleration there...
It's that battery, though.
It's got that torque, hasn't it?
Yeah, the battery makes such a difference.
There's countless times we've been riding, you've been flat out. I'm like, you flat out, yeah.
Yeah.
See you later, dude.
It's always London. It's always in London. That's what always makes me sit back and go like, damn it. Because when we get to King's Cross in London after we've travelled over from Cambridge, to get to like the Stratford area that we always normally hang around, the Hackney Wick area or the Olympic Park, we have to go up this massive hill to get to the road that takes us by the river to then, long story's long, it's uphill. The entire way up this hill is uphill. And the GTR, like acceleration, the spec that we've got, the fact that we're using the 52 tooth gear gives you a lot more top end, but it doesn't matter.
No.
Like I'm going up this hill full pace and the Onsra always blows past me, and it's annoying to a point where we've switched over and I've been like, well, Ricky's much lighter than I am, so maybe that's it, and we switch over and it doesn't make any difference. The Onsra still flies up hills.
So even though, it hasn't got the acceleration, like that initial acceleration off the line.
Yeah, but once it
gets going a little bit, then you've got plenty of torque in that top end range, isn't it? So this is more like of a mid to top end range board, where the GTR is probably more of a low range to sort of mid range board, I'd say, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So I guess in the area of, if you're looking for uphill,
if you live somewhere where you've got a lot of hills, then probably the Onsra is going to be the best shout for that. It's going to be more torquier.
Fair. So speed wins, Onsra wins, acceleration, GTR wins, and torque or uphill struggle, Onsra wins that as well.
Yeah.
That's fair. So from there is probably going to be one of the most important things when you're riding a board, and that's the braking.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to approach this because, like, what are I'll hear your thoughts first before I tell you what mine is.
All right. My thoughts on the braking is, I personally think both the brakes on both boards are actually pretty good. I've been riding the Onsra a lot.
Exactly what I said.
And I can't really determine much of a difference. I'd probably say the GTR is probably a little bit sharper.
Yeah.
That initial, when you press the brake, there's more of a, you really feel the brakes kicking in. But apart from that, I mean, I can't really...
Yeah, I've not bounced on one and gone, wow, these brakes
are bad.
I don't even think about it. It works. But, you know, obviously the way that you brake on the two different boards is different because of the different remotes. And that's something, of course, we'll touch on later on. But yeah, I think, do we like go 1-1 in braking then?
Just call it a draw on the braking.
That's fair. Right, we'll do a draw. Now, this takes us to... I'm going to switch these over because I wanted to touch on the range first, but instead I want to touch on the ride because I think...
The ride's definitely a big factor when choosing an electric skateboard. Like, I didn't realise until I've like bounced and used a lot of different boards now, and obviously building my own board and stuff, I didn't think about it beforehand, but building my own board has made me think if I'm getting a board and that deck needs to be right, it needs to feel right under your feet, you know. That's like a major part. So I think, like you said, ride is such an important thing, and I think it's very overlooked within electric skateboards in general.
The issue with it, and this is where, like, I don't want to go too much off of a tangent, but it's, everyone looks at the spec on a website and you're like, well, this one is like has better speed, better range, a bigger battery. That doesn't matter. That means dick if the deck sucks and the ride of the board is crap. If the trucks aren't good, the bushings of course that can be fixed, but if the trucks and the deck aren't good, then it makes a massive difference on your confidence on the board and also your general experience. And that's
just having the right feet placement for yourself, for your build, for your
right
size,
length, the right width. It's things that you just don't really know.
You just don't take them into a consideration, do you? When you're first looking at buying a skateboard, or even after you've ridden skateboards for a little while, but you've just stuck to one skateboard. Until you sort of like ride other people's, and then you're like, oh my god, like I can't believe like this feels amazing now, you know. And going from riding different boards now, it really does make, like, I can't stress enough how much of a difference it makes to have the deck set up and the wheel set up like just right.
For sure. It's like it sounds really like a crap way of saying it, but it's like cooking. It's like a recipe. Like, you can go out and get all of the best ingredients that you can to make something amazing, but the ingredients have to go together in a certain way.
That's
for them.
it.
They have to work together
to be able to give you that final really nice meal. Just because you've gone out and brought all the best parts doesn't mean that you're going to put that meal together and it's going to taste nice.
Exactly. You know? It sounds like a weird way of saying it, but yeah, for sure. And I think, so where does that take us if we were to touch on the deck
So yeah, I think if we start from the deck maybe and work our way down.
Yeah, do that. So with the deck, if you're to VS the Onsra deck, and if you guys remember seeing the review that we did in the first impressions, I did say this, like the first thing I noticed when I jumped on the Onsra, I said the deck's too short. And I remember seeing a couple of comments, people saying like, oh, it's only a few inches shorter, but a couple of inches makes a big difference.
Makes a big difference.
in every aspect.
Not even in a sleazy way, just in general.
No, I meant it in a sleazy way. A couple of inches makes a difference. But it really does. And I think that's one of the main reasons that I've not been so like overwhelmed with the Onsra's performance as much as you have.
Yeah. I've been overwhelmed with it just by, like, you know, it being able to go, like, fast. It's a very fast board, and like I said about the torque as well, it's got good torque, so going up hills and stuff like that. The acceleration for me is what really let it down in the sort of performance area.
Yeah.
But when you talk about the actual ride of it, the deck is... I mean, I'm not even a big guy, you know. I'm not even that tall. I'm like 5'5", 5'6". Don't even weigh that much, and the deck is still too short for me. And the thing about the deck being so short as well is it just having that shorter wheelbase just makes that board so twitchy. It just doesn't feel as stable as I'd like it to feel. And just having a deck that's got a couple of extra inches makes a big difference on the way that how stable that board is and how planted you feel when riding it, and just your overall riding a long distance. Because like I said, from riding from where we get off the train in London to where we ride, it's like 5 or 6 miles, and we have to go down this like side by the like a track that runs all the way down the side of a river. And that ride I absolutely hate doing on the Onsra because I've not got a comfortable feet position because the deck's not wide enough for me, and the board's so twitchy is one false move and I could essentially just go into the river. So for me, the deck there, too short, way too short. And yeah, I'd really like the next version, or the Onsra 2.0, to come out with a longer deck.
I think that's interesting because it always makes me laugh when we have to take that road because I don't even think about it.
No, you just drive. You ride like a madman down there, and I'm always like, yeah, I'll catch up with you in a little while. Even though the Ondra's quicker,
gone, and I look behind me, and I'm like, where the hell's he gone? And I'm just like flat out.
I just don't. I'm not safe. I don't feel safe on that. I don't plant it. I don't feel
it's a rough road as well. And
it's a rough road.
The bamboo GTR deck absorbs all of that crap, and I'm just there like messing around, having a good time.
Yeah.
And looking behind me, going, where the hell's Ricky gone? But yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think from it's going to be a tricky one because as we go up through the list, but I think straight off the bat, in terms of the quality of ride, I think the GTR range wins, whether it's the bamboo or the carbon.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's the bamboo, because obviously I've primarily been riding the carbon as well, so that's a stiff deck, same as the Onsra, that's a stiff deck as well.
I mean, it's wood, but this is another thing that's important to mention, is that the Onsra's deck, because this is a VS against the GTR range, it's not as stiff as the carbon because it is wood, but it's nowhere near as flexy as the bamboo.
Yeah, it's sort of, it's probably not an in-between, I'd say. It's more, it leans more towards the carbon.
Yeah, it is super
but it's
stiff.
Still not as stiff as the carbon.
Yeah, there is play, but just nowhere near
Yes, but just talking about the deck and obviously the feet placement, on my carbon there, as soon as I get on there, that's got a slight little drop down to it. I've got the right sort of stance that I need to stand with my feet placement, and I feel planted. I feel me and the board feel as one. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm carving, when I'm riding,
I really tried not to laugh when you said that.
I know, but that's so cheesy. You
sound like a samurai warrior.
Yeah, but no, you really do.
Like when you've holding your tongue there, Ricky. I'm very impressed with you.
Yeah. Had to think about that one.
I saw that.
But when you're standing on that board, you feel really planted. You feel in control of the board, and that's something that I don't get with the Onsra. So, I think when we're talking in terms of the actual deck of the boards, hands down, if you want a board that you feel in control of, and then, this might be, some of you might stand with
a shorter deck
because of portability. I mean, but even when it comes to portability, it's only a couple of inches, and it doesn't make a difference when carrying around and stuff. Mind you, actually, it does actually make quite a difference.
I told you a couple of inches makes a big difference.
No, it actually does. It actually does.
It doesn't drag on the floor.
When I actually have to pick up like that to walk upstairs with the carbon or the bamboo, when I'm picking it up like that, I really have to lift the board. With the Onsra, I just literally pick it up and walk up.
Yeah.
So I have actually been doing that and actually found that does actually make a big difference.
See? But in terms of even if we look at it from the trucks, if we look at it from the wheels, all of that stuff, I think we have to award the overall ride and experience to. We're still still agreeing that it goes to GTR.
Yeah.
That's fair. And any points about the wheels that the Onsra has, thoughts?
The just a quick one though before we move on to the next category. I think somebody's commented about saying that when we said about we'd like it to actually not have a painted deck, painted black. Somebody said I think it's coated in like fiberglass or something like that to make it rigid, but it's not actually not, because I've sanded the bottom of the deck down and it's just wood. It's bamboo.
Yeah.
So, but I just thought I'd mention that in case people still thought that it was covered in fiberglass.
I didn't even know you sanded it down.
Yeah, I've sanded the bottom of it down.
Okay,
yeah,
fair.
I'm respraying because I'm going to respray it back up and clean it all up. I took it apart. It's
Okay, fair.
going to get like cleaned up, and so the deck at the bottom got a few chips and stuff on it. So I've sanded it. I'm going to spray it matte black and put it back together.
Fair play. So I think so that essentially closes the section on ride, right? Do you want to touch on the trucks?
I mean, we can talk about the trucks because the trucks are a big thing as well.
Yeah.
There's double kingpin trucks out there, which obviously both of these boards are rocking.
Yeah.
And the Evolve trucks are far superior to the trucks that are used on the Black Carve. And essentially the trucks that are used on the Black Carve are the own-board ones, or they're not the own-board ones. They're just a generic double kingpin trucks that you can buy off the internet. If you wanted a set of double kingpin trucks. So every board manufacturer, they're pretty much using the same trucks. Apart from Evolve, they're using their own custom-made trucks for that board. And they do make a big difference.
I think a lot of people will say like, oh, but those trucks are a clone of those trucks. It's like, it's still not the same thing though.
Well, it doesn't even matter if it's a clone. Double kingpin trucks are double kingpin trucks.
Yeah.
It's just a different manufacturer. Whoever's producing them, some factory in China or somewhere, is mass producing a double kingpin truck, which is what all these other board manufacturers are buying and putting their logo on. So they're all the same, but Evolves are different. They're not exactly the same. They're different shapes. The threads that you actually put your bushings and stuff on, they're shorter on the Evolve than they are on the...
It sounds like it's a pointless thing to touch on, but it makes a difference.
It does make a difference, because even when you put the bushings from like an Evolve onto those trucks still don't feel the same as the Evolve trucks.
Yeah.
You know, so even like with the shaft being maybe like slightly shorter on the Evolves, and
Makes
just these minute little bits and pieces that are slightly different really has a big impact on the overall performance of the trucks.
Yeah.
So for me, the Evolve trucks are the ones. They perform way better.
No, that's fair. And if we touch on the subject from there of range, like I don't know what people would want, but I've always said anywhere sort of between 10 and 14 miles is enough for me.
I think let's touch on the wheels first before we go on to range, because the wheels have an impact on the range.
Okay, fine. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the wheels.
The wheels, yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
So thoughts on the wheels. These are going to be sort of dependent on what type of rider, on what terrain you're riding, and whereabouts you are riding, and what you intend to do on your electric skateboard. So I really like those rubber wheels. They're really, really nice, comfortable wheels to ride around. I've got a good bit of grip on them, so you can go out riding all sorts of terrain. They're not off-road wheels, they're street wheels, but they're more comfortable than your general urethane wheel. But after recently learning to slide the boards, the 97s are like the ones for sliding, you know?
Even the 85s would be savage.
I mean, the
as well.
85s would be probably savage, but then that's probably
too
small for me. But
yeah. No, I know what you mean. It's
the 97's like a sort of good compromise, I think.
But that's why what you're doing on the board makes such a big difference.
It does,
because obviously, if you're just trying to use it to get from point A to point B, you're just predominantly riding in a straight line, maybe a little bit of carving. Yeah, the rubber wheels, the 115mm rubber wheels that the Onsra comes with will be fine.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to progress, like we've been doing lately, and you want to like start doing sliding and drifting, I think now more than ever we're switching between all terrain and street more than we've ever done before.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm primarily gonna ride my AT wheels, just because the terrain that we ride over, you don't have to think about what you're doing, do you?
Yeah.
And you can get from A to B with the all terrains just like that. So
then
quick.
You get to location and it's
then you get to location, and then you switch. That's it. Let's get some sliding and do some drifting now.
Yeah. So it comes into play what you're going to be doing with the board. In terms of general commuting, general riding around, like the 115mm wheels are great. Like they are, and you can slide them.
Yeah.
They're just not good for drifting or anything like that.
No.
It doesn't perform.
They're too sticky, too soft.
It doesn't do what you need it to do on the tarmac. But for grip, etc., I think, like I've said this in other videos, I think those wheels are essentially what cloud wheels should have been.
Yeah.
It's because everything that those wheels do is 100 times better and more comfortable than what cloud wheels do.
Yeah.
So it's a mystery to me why everyone raves about cloud wheels and doesn't rave about these rubber 115s, because they're so much better.
Yeah.
So much better. But yeah, in terms of the wheels, I guess, like you said, depends on what you're riding, how you're riding.
Depends on riding, what you're riding.
But what were you getting with the AT wheels on the Onsra in terms of range, roughly?
AT?
Yeah.
Probably about 15 miles, I think I was getting 80.
And that's riding quite aggressively as well.
Yeah, that's like, riding, aggressively.
And what were you getting with the 115s?
The 115s, I was probably getting less than that. I was getting about 14.
Yeah? Okay.
Something like that, on
handy to
average.
For me, it's...
Because the range of those rubber wheels, because they're so soft and so grippy, there's a lot of resistance there, which then chews the battery up quicker.
Of course. It's a similar story with me. With the ATs, with the GTR, as you guys know, I'm sat somewhere around the 14-mile mark. But it does depend on what gears I'm using. If I'm using, like, for example, the 6-inch AT wheels with the 66 tooth gears, which I barely ever do, you can get pretty good range, but I think 14 to 16 miles with AT, regardless of what setup I'm using, riding quite aggressively is like a nice estimate to give you guys. And then with the street wheels, if it's the 97s, you get a ridiculous amount of range with those. Like plus 20 miles. Like you can get maybe even closer to the 30-mile mark if you really want to, but that's not something that I would particularly do, but just so you guys are aware.
Yeah, you can get that range, like you said. I wouldn't want to ride 30 miles on street, that's a long way to ride with street wheels, and especially like the roads around here, they're not the greatest, so it's just not a good, nice experience, I don't think.
But for a sliding session, it means that you can put 97s on and you can literally just shred all day.
Yeah,
and not
so
even have to
basically on
worry.
the Onsra, I was doing about 50% battery, just purely sliding, just going around in the car park, just sliding. That was all I was doing, just sliding the board. And I'd done like 10 miles and that chewed up about 50% of the battery.
Yeah,
and that's aggressive riding as well, because you're flooring it, sliding, flooring it, braking hard, you're really tearing the board up there. So, in terms of like AT on the, not AT, street on the Onsra, just messing about sliding, you're going to get some good range.
Another thing that's not on here, motor performance.
Yes, motor performance. That's
100% have got to touch on that.
Yeah.
It's not on the list. So like we've already said that in terms of so let's cap the range section first. So who gets the medal for range? Who wins that?
I think just because the bigger battery on the Onsra, you're gonna get a bit more range, but I don't think you're gonna get that much more range than you would on the GTR.
It depends how you're riding.
It depends on how you ride. All these there's a lot of factors that can come into what the range is, but it's based on the bigger sized battery in the Onsra.
But then the wheel setups that are more battery demanding. Yeah. Because if you put 97 street wheels on the Onsra, you'd get crazy range.
Yes, you would.
But that's not how it ships.
That's not how it ships. No,
so
that's
we
fair.
Can't do that.
So I think how it ships, it's fair to say that the GTR you're going to get more range.
Yeah.
How this is how it ships.
I genuinely feel like we need to give one each, because the Onsra's range is still fairly close to the GTR's. Yeah, so coming back to what I was saying earlier on about motor performance, it's something that I'd have never even thought about with a board, but now I think with what we've experienced with both, I think it's super important to mention, because the day that we were sliding around, like just absolutely mullering the boards down that place near the Olympic Park that closed off.
Evolve's private test track.
Private test track. That's when you notice. I know, like we were with Andrew, and he has the exact same board as me. I didn't check what his motor temperature was like.
Yeah.
But I know that it's sliding, doing 360s, 180s, and stuff.
It's
like
very
that, drifting, very
intensive.
demanding.
Yeah.
My motors were hot, like 100%. My motors were hot. But yours...
Yeah, we even touched motors, didn't we?
Yeah, like yours were...
Oh, God. That sounded really bad.
It sounded really bad. But yeah, like your motors were fine. Like they were warm,
I literally,
but you could keep
went
your
like
hand
that.
on them, but you couldn't keep your hand on mine.
No, I couldn't keep my hand on... Oh, God.
Okay. We'll try and skip past this first.
We'll try and get through this quite quickly.
The motor performance, with the way that we've been riding our boards, which does tend to be very aggressive. Like, I don't feel like a lot of the audience that watches our videos, I don't feel like you guys understand what we mean when we say aggressive riding, because when we're riding aggressively, we can't even be like, oh, Rick, film me, because it's too haphazardous and it's too chaotic, and we're riding through places that wouldn't be suitable to put up a camera and try and film while we're doing it. Like I know that I've had a couple of issues with my board, but I don't treat my board nicely. Like, I don't sugarcoat that at all. Like, I treat it like crap. Not in a way that I don't respect it. It's just that's the way that I like to ride, and that's the way I like to treat it. And I do notice that while he's treating his essentially the same way, my motors do get warmer than yours do.
Yeah.
Hands down. So I think in terms of the way that the boards deal with the tension and stress that you put on them, like with motor performance, I think the Onsra definitely has to...
Handles that a bit better, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, because I've never seen your motors hot to a point that you can't leave your hand on them.
No. Or I've never, it's never kicked me out into like a slower mode, or come up to say, oh, temperature too high, or...
Yeah, for sure.
there's never been any issues like that. So
I think if we were, riding somewhere where it was like uphill and you were slaying the board up hills, it would get very hot to touch. But in our
then
area,
you'd probably be kicked into eco mode by then.
yeah,
wouldn't you?
yeah. But with the area that we've been in, like we've not had any of that with yours.
Nah.
But mine do get way hotter than yours. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's only fair to give Onsra a point
Yeah,
in that section over there. And that brings us really nicely onto build.
Yeah, so the build of the boards, I mean, there's not really much you can say about this. The GTR range is built better than the Onsra. It's
Okay.
fact.
Oh, that was easy.
I mean, I've stripped the Onsra, I've taken it to part, and like just the way like the battery case has been put on there, it's been sort of siliconed around, not very well. It's really hard to get off to try and make it waterproof, but I don't think that's really going to make it very waterproof. But just the general build, construction of the boards, the GTR, hands down, is better build.
Fair.
Better build.
Now, what about when we move on to the remotes? What are your thoughts on the remotes? I know, like, I'm going to say straight off the bat, and you guys know this, like, I've gone from liking the boosted style remote to now hating the boosted style remote.
Yeah.
And I much prefer the trigger. Like, I like the display on the top of your hand, the trigger over here, the brake on the top. I just prefer that.
Yeah. I do really like the Evolve remotes. I think they're spot on. I don't mind the Onsra remote. It's comfortable in the hand. The scroll wheel's okay. It's a bit hard to scroll when you've got gloves on. So because it's quite a chunky remote, when you've got thick gloves on as well, it sort of makes it even more chunkier. Then you've got to try and reach your thumb round. It's not a big deal. It just doesn't. It's not that bad of issue whatsoever. But I have just noticed from like riding that it does make it a little bit. Sometimes my thumb might slip off the wheel or something like that. But it's just a hobby wing. It's the general hobby wing remote that a lot of other manufacturers are using. It's it is what it is at the end of the day.
No, that's fair. So remote again, Evolve takes that.
Yeah, I personally think just based on the colour display, what you'll get in, the independent trigger and finger brake is just a far superior method and way of riding an electric skateboard.
That's fair.
Like,
That's
what are your thoughts on remotes?
It's nice.
in
It's
general,
pretty much
like?
the same way. Like I've now become a real big fan of the trigger remotes. I think you said it's the same ones that come with the which board did you say it's the same ones that like the board that you're building, the remote that it has.
Oh, this is not the same remote.
No, I know, but I'm saying like which is that company?
Oh, LaCroix.
Yeah, so it's the same remote as that. Like that, those are now the remotes that I prefer. Like it feels better in your hands. But at the same time, saying that, I do feel like
The LaCroix remotes are just a trigger. Remember, I brought two remotes because one of them's taking too long to come, so I just brought another.
Yeah,
remote.
the other one that you said that had the trigger.
Yeah,
that
the
was
other
similar
one
to
that
the
I'm
Evolve.
waiting on.
Yeah,
Is,
that's definitely the style that I
there's a
prefer.
trigger, so it's called a Maytech remote.
In case
Maytech.
you're wondering. But I think this is going to catch you off guard. I feel like, based on my experience, this is going to be where the argument kicks in. I'd give the point, even though the Onsra remote isn't the style of remote that I like, and it's not the, like I don't like the scroll, and it's like a basic remote. Like, how many times has the Onsra remote been dropped, and how many times has it been broken, and how many times have I broken an Evolve remote? Like, the two
I think you've done
things,
4 remotes, haven't you?
4 remotes in the last 4 months. Like, basically, from the start of lockdown until now, I've broken 4 remotes.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the way that the GTR boards are made, the 2 crappiest things on all of the GTR range of boards that Evolve has is that crappy flap to protect the charger port and the remotes.
Yeah.
The remotes
They need to
feel...
be a bit beefier, don't
It's
they?
like, I like the way they feel and they feel great, but they are so flimsy, it's unreal. Like, I've dropped one from, like, knee height and it's just, like, shattered.
Yeah.
I know you can get cases on them, but the cases make it bulky, and I don't want that. Like, I want the remote to just be as it is. Like, I don't put a case on my phone. Last thing I want to do is put a
even
case
if
on
they
my
like
remote.
brought out a silicon case for it, so that if you do drop it, it absorbs some of the shock and it doesn't sort of...
Or just like wrapped it in that initially, just so that's how they came. Like, and because of that, I would personally give the remote category to Onsra. Because it's a solid remote.
Yeah, and also when it comes to remotes as well, there's a lot of people out there that do prefer the scroll wheel and don't like the Evolve remote.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And it is going to be all down to... A lot of it is going to be down to personal preference, but... Yeah.
Just going through... I've never broken a remote on any other board that we have. But the GTRs, I've broken 4 times.
Yeah. I have, because I've been sliding the Onsra as well. I've been going down, smacking the remote on the floor. I mean, the remote is completely scratched to pieces now.
It's fine.
Yeah, fine. Still working, not broken.
Do you see what I'm saying? I bet that caught you off guard, right? You weren't
Yeah,
expecting
that's fair. That's fair.
So, like, I think remote, Onsra has to take it because we've not had any issues with their remotes, and I'm just sick of breaking Evolve remotes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my favourite board. Everyone knows that, but I'm sick of breaking their remotes. But yeah, I had to mention that because I think people are going to drop them. People are going to fall off their boards.
Yeah.
So it's something worth considering. If you have a GTR and you only have one remote, dear God, get another one.
Quick.
get another one.
And use our link.
Down below. But yeah, from there, it goes naturally into customer service. How do we summarize customer service?
Customer service, I think, like, we've got to base it on, like, Onsra is a new company. Things that I have heard from watching other people's reviews and videos on his board, that he's been pretty good with his customer service. But, you know, we haven't had anything go wrong with that board, so we can't then really comment on how the customer service is, just based on we haven't had to go through his customer service or Onsra's customer service. However, Evolve's customer service, you can watch a million other videos out there, is renowned for being one of the best out there. And there's what's his name? Scott Davies, is it?
I don't know.
There's another reviewer, YouTube reviewer called Scott Davies, and he actually done a test where his stoke went wrong. And so he had to fill a form out, send an email on the internet, and literally Evolve got back to him within like 18 minutes of them sending an email. So his board went wrong. He shipped it out, and then he had it back. Done a whole process of it, basically. Okay. So if you wanted to go and check that out, go and have a look on his channel and see that video. But he done a whole process of his board breaking, sending it off, getting repaired, and coming back. And it was all done as quick as anything. No hassles whatsoever. And
I mean, they're a bigger and more established company.
They are.
And they have actual service centres in... I mean, we're very fortunate that we've got an Evolve HQ in the UK.
Yeah.
I'm still so confused about why that's here. Like,
it's just popped in the UK. It's popped in the UK.
I love that it's here, and I'll never take that for granted. But it's one of those things where, like, when you look around the world, there's a HQ in Australia and the UK, and there's not like I know that the US has a warehouse, but they don't have like a storefront.
Nah.
I'm not complaining. I'm happy. So that means that it's a tough one to like match up customer service. You can't compare to that because, I mean, at the end of the day, I could even get on a train or get in the car and take my board to Evolve.
You could do, and if something goes wrong or you need a spare part, you can just go to the Evolve shop and buy the parts that you need.
Yeah, so it's tricky.
Also, ordering from their site, when you do order from their site, if you needed to buy some new belts, some wheels, whatever you want to do, that gets shipped out to you, and it's with you in like 2 days.
Next day sometimes. Yeah, if you order early.
Quick.
Yeah, so I think we have to give Evolve credit for that. That's one of the reasons why, you know, a more established company is able to offer that kind of service because you know, they've been doing what they've been doing for a while. So I think that's only fair. Now, last point before we go on to, I guess, one of the deciding factors, the most important factor for most people, which is the price. Is charging. Just like a quick note on charging. Is there?
I mean, there's not much difference, is there?
And it's a bigger battery on the Onsra as well, but
I mean, we've never really sat there charged, and then you've had to wait for me to finish charging.
No.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, you've got a bigger battery, so you do end up charging less than I do.
True.
Like, there's times where I'm like, crap, I'm not going to get back to the station if I don't stop and charge.
Yeah. I'm good to go, so...
Yeah, so it's, I guess, when we look at it from... We could split that category and look at it from battery perspective, but obviously Onsra is going to get that one because it's a bigger battery. Yeah, so, like, how do we summarise that? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, just charging in general... The bigger the battery you get, the longer it's going to take to charge, unless you've got a bigger, bulkier charger. But as they ship, I mean, the Evolve probably charges slightly quicker.
Yeah, but the battery will last longer on the...
But will last longer on the Onsra. I wouldn't say the charging times are vastly differed. So, yeah.
One each, maybe?
Just call it a draw on that, I think.
That's fair. And last but not least is going to be the price.
Yeah, so the price of the boards, I think the Onsra is like £1,200.
Alright, so on price.
So yeah, when we look at the price of both of these boards, first of all we'll talk about the Onsra. Now, if you used to buy just the standard street kit, the 115mm wheels, you're looking at about £1,248. If you was to... They've got different tab sections on his website or Onsra's website. If you was to click and choose the AT setup, that actually comes AT and street wheels together, and that's £1,448-ish, something like that.
So that's, I think, value for money wise. If we looked at the Bamboo, for example, if you go for the street wheels, which are the 1997mm wheels, that's £1,449 roughly, give or take. Don't quote me on that. And that's obviously pounds because we live in the UK. But that's only with the 97 street wheels. And if you go for the AT, it's basically the same price, but you only get either the AT or the street. You have to pick which one you want. And if you buy the kit that comes with both...
That's it. That's like 1,600 quid then, isn't it?
It's more money. Whereas the Onsra setup, if you pay 1,400 plus mark, you get both options available.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of, if you're looking at it from a value perspective, the Onsra does take the point there.
Or if you're looking at the cheaper option is the
Yeah.
Onsra, isn't it? The
Yeah.
less expensive board is the Onsra. It's not by a lot though, and I think if you're looking at both of these boards and you've got that sort of money to spend on an electric skateboard, then a couple £100's not going to be
The end all.
the deciding factor on it.
That's fair. So I guess this like swiftly brings us to the most important part of the video, is which one do you go for? Like, for where do you think these boards fit in? And yourself, like, if you had to pick between a GTR, carbon
Yeah.
or bamboo, and the Onsra, which one would you pick and why?
So it obviously depended on where I lived. If I lived in a place where it was really hilly areas, then I'd go for the Onsra just based on the amount of torque it's got. It's going to propel you up those hills much easier without getting those overheating issues that you would on the GTR. But for where I do live now, so if I had the choice, if you put both boards in front of me brand new and said, right, you can either have that one or that one, I would go for the GTR. I just think overall it's a more refined board than the Onsra. But we've got to take into account that obviously Onsra is a new company. It's their first board that they've brought out, whereas Evolve have created various different variations of boards. And I think they're on this is like their third or fourth generation. So they've sort of perfected that recipe now. And I think the only thing that left to do on the Evolve boards really is they need to start up in the motor specs. They need bigger, beefier motors, bigger batteries in there. But I mean, yeah, I would pick the GTR. I think it's a more refined overall, better board.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. And I think essentially that's the only two complaints I've got about the GTRs right now, is that, like you said, they need to put bigger motors on there.
Yeah, because they keep overheating. You keep getting chucked down into pro mode if you go a bit aggressive on it, don't you?
Yeah, it's not fun anymore.
And
but
it's one of those things that we didn't even like when we first started.
Because we're progressing now.
It's because we're progressing. We're learning more about the whole electric skateboard world, how things work, how components work together, and all the rest of it. And so now we can actually see, and we're like, oh shit, yeah, you know, they do need to sort this issue out. Really.
Yeah, like we can both see that now, and of course because of the issues that I've had. But it's one of those things where, like, I'm still riding the board. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the board. It's just what I would like to see Evolve do next is 100% bigger battery and significantly bigger motors, so they can deal with what you're doing with them. But it's also, it comes down to the way that you're riding. Like we've said in the video, if you're literally just using the board, you know, you're doing a bit of light carving, nothing too savage, maybe a bit of off-roading, and you're using it maybe to get around a city or just to have a bit of fun over the weekends or to go for group rides, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the board.
Nah.
But as your ability, if you're the type of rider that's trying to learn more to become more aggressive, like, I mean, like, we're literally like trying to make boards go sideways, drifting around roundabouts and stuff like that. We're really, really pushing the way that we ride and the amount of strain that we put on the boards. And that's what has now led us to understand that we need to have, you know, bigger motors, bigger batteries to be able to deal with the way that we're treating them, so we don't have these issues of the boards not being able to deal with what we've trying to throw at them. At the end of the day, I think what the GTR is a board that fits a large percentage of consumers.
Yeah.
It's like, it's an ideal board for you to go in and get like a complete product off the shelf, and it does pretty much everything you may need it to get.
If you want to take it on all terrain, you can. If you want to ride street, you can. If you just want to use it as a last mile vehicle to commute from work to home, to pop up the shops, it does everything that you need it to do. It's a good all-rounder, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but as you start to get more savage and more carnivorous with your riding and what you want to do, that's when it's like, okay, now you need something that can deal with that grunt a bit better. So I think that's like a way of summarizing what we mean with like what the upgrades that we'd like to see Evolve make to the boards.
Yeah, definitely.
But at the same time, with the Onsra, I think the only thing that really needs to be done with that board is just make the deck longer.
I think the deck needs to be made longer. And then obviously that would really help with the stability of the board and the way that it actually feels, because for me that's a big part of riding an electric skateboard, the way that actually feels under your feet. I want it to feel like it's part of me, not like I'm standing on something, you know, trying to keep my balance. So yeah, definitely that. And I think like just needs like an overall more polished look to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, like the wood being sprayed black's a bit like, you know what I mean? It's like, just doesn't look as, can't think of the word now.
Refined, professional, clean.
Yeah, all of those types of things, you know, it's just not really refined looking board. You know, I'd like to just have it an overhaul, everything to look a bit more sleek, a little bit more like it was made for that board. Like the GTRs are built, and everything that's been built on it, like the enclosure and everything, fits perfectly to the board, you know, the way that it should. And I think this is more of a, like, I don't want to say DIY, but it's more of a like different parts and just put together, if you know what I mean. So it's not a complete package.
Yeah.
In my
No,
eyes.
I understand that. It's like the GTR looks like a product that has come out of a store.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Onsra just needs a little bit more work. But like we said, it's the
first board. You can't.
And I know the original GTRs weren't great.
No, they weren't. Like this would
all.
annihilate the original GTRs.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
it's fair to say that what Onsra have done so far has been great. It's just a couple of little tweaks that they need to get to make sure that the next version of their boards is even better than the ones that they've got now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I think I honestly thought you'd have picked the Onsra, if I was honest.
No. I do like the Onsra. Like I said, the ability, like when we're in London and stuff like that, that board's great for when we're in London. It's so rapid, but I do miss that acceleration that I get when I ride my GTR, and also the way that the GTR feels for me. Like when I'm sliding and just cornering, just manoeuvring the board, the GTR it flows. It just gets me where I need to be.
Who do you think the Onsra would be good for then, as it is right now?
Like I said, the Ondra's good probably for like a heaviest rider that wants something that's got a bit of grunt, a good bit of mid torque, and a good bit of top end there.
Or just somebody that just wants speed, like
somebody that just wants top end speed, or somebody that just lives in a hilly area.
I think if you're in a city and you want a board that can keep up with the flow of traffic at like 30ish miles an hour, then for sure, like the Onsra is a good board for that.
Because that is great for London. I can just keep up. Like you can't keep up on the GTR. You can't keep up with the traffic. Whereas the Onsra, I can keep up with the flow of traffic. So I can essentially ride with the traffic. And then when we get to traffic lights and stuff like that, I can cut straight to the front like on your motorbike, and then I'm gone again.
Yeah.
So like getting about on the Onsra is like in a city is gonna be so fast. Yeah.
That's fair. So anything else? Anything else we need to add?
I think we've pretty much covered everything, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the list, we've pretty much hit everything on the head. Yeah.
So yeah, we just thought we'd just do this type of style format video where we just sort of have more of a conversation. We run through all the points that we think are, crucial in buying an electric skateboard and put them sort of head to head, so that if you're watching this video, you've got a really good, clear description and idea of the way that these boards actually perform in the real world. So yeah.
Yeah. So if there's any questions, gone.
Yeah. If there any, like Chris said, if there's any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. And yeah, I'll let you close the video off.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you thumbs up. Ask us any questions down below, as Ricky said. Make sure you're subscribed so you can stay up to date with everything that we post. Notification bells turned on. And I guess we'll catch you in the next one. Let us know what other VS videos that you want us to do. I think.
And let us know if you like this format as well. This way with construction. This video, basically.
Yeah, it's a bit like podcast stroke review stroke conversation.
Yeah.
But I think, you're right. It's a good way of us being able to kind of argue out the different points to give you the best idea. Because if you're looking at spending the 1,400 stroke £500 mark on a skateboard,
you want to know what's good and what's bad about both boards, don't you?
Exactly.
You want the clearest way of being able to see and watch a video or a review on it and be like, okay, because if there's just the one person doing it, it's sort of, they have their own mindset about that board, don't they? Their own way of riding and stuff. Whereas when there's two of you, we've both ridden both boards and we both ride slightly different. So it works, I think just feel like it works better this way.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah.
As always, guys, thank you for watching. Keep subscribing. Stay up to date with all of the posts that we have by making sure you have the notification bell turned on. Ding. Instagram links down below. And we'll catch you in the next one. Of course, all links to pick up the boards are also down below in the video description.
Yeah, so if you're buying a board, use the links.
Use the links. Affiliate links. Of course, they're affiliate links. We get a bit of a kickback. You save some money because there's a discount code. Helps us both out.
Yeah. Win-win.
Win-win. Take care,
guys. Win-win-win-win.
Win-win-win-win.
Let's catch you in the next one, guys. Bye.
Peace out.